vasectomies, age.
I have a do-it-yourself kit at home.
What the heck?
But I forgot my glasses, so I don't know if it's going to work.
Again, that
We'll
red
let you
light
know
says
later.
do not do this at home. PhD, not medical doctor.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Navajo Tea Time, and it is that time for another Minisode. So stay tuned, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment below about your thoughts on these topics.
Okay, well, I think birth control is a responsibility of men and women, and I don't think this is just a female topic, so I think it's cool that he's here. So if you want to engage in this conversation, I think we should.
That's fine.
Okay.
Maybe Gordon can join us too.
Okay, so for our Minisode, well, one thing I really wanted to talk about was, like, not just, like, responsibility of birth control, but, like, the actual effects when you're on birth control, because I had the thing in my arm, and they kind of like, hey, you just had a baby, let's put you on birth control, so I don't feel like I ever got back to my normal factory settings, if you know what I mean, because I'm a robot. But I don't know, if like, because I was always really in tune with my body, and like I knew when something was wrong, I knew when certain things were happening in my body, and like I kind of had like the really big feeling I was pregnant just because of the way my body was acting. And then after I had the baby, and then a month later they put me on birth control, and so I never got back to my factory settings. And I always, I don't know, it was just like, okay, I don't have periods anymore, woo! But then like recently, this past year, I felt very disconnected from myself. And like, you know, nothing mattered. Not that nothing mattered, it's just that like, I wasn't,
No, that's a red flag.
I wasn't depressed or
You have to
anything.
cry for help.
I know. No, I don't cry for help. I get it done. Anyway.
Your body's all help.
Listen to your body.
Well, like, you know, like, my body wasn't speaking in that sense. You know, it's like, oh, listen to your body when something's wrong or whatever. There was nothing to listen to. So I got it taken out last month. And I was listening to some old songs, and I'm like, I really like this song. I'm really enjoying this music. And like watching some old movies, I'm like, I really love this movie. And it just felt like a little veil was taken off. I'm like, I see all the colors now. They're not slightly gray. I'm like enjoying the things I used to love. And because I'm like trying to listen to new music, and I'm like, it doesn't feel the same. I don't feel the same joy, or like I don't love this song the way I loved this song when I first heard it. And now I have to try listening to new music again, because I feel like being on birth control definitely messed with my perception on how I enjoyed things. So maybe I can actually find new music that I might like, you know, new artists, new people coming out with things. Because realizing that I didn't enjoy the old music before when I was on birth control. So that was what I wanted to talk about.
That's freaking real. I've never talked about that with anybody, but you're absolutely right. So I had a, what's it called? An IUD? I had that after I had my son, and I don't know, my body was telling me, like, get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't want it anymore. So I was like, cool. So I got it taken out, and then I felt like that. I felt free. I felt happy. I felt like fully myself. And that's a real thing. I've never talked about that with anyone before. It's cool that you mentioned it, because I thought it was just me that felt like that. But I guess
everybody. I don't know if it's everybody, but like,
yeah, that's a trip though, that it does that it puts that, like, that veil over you. You know what I mean? Like that control almost. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a definitely weird feeling. Like, there's stuff, like, obviously I still love the things I loved, and like, you know, the people I like being around, but like, I noticed, like, with me being an introvert, I thought it was just because Frankie was constantly asking for attention and needing me to be there physically for her. And, you know, I thought it was being emotionally and physically draining on me, that I was just, like, kind of ignoring Gurnan. I was like, don't touch me, don't hug me, I'm tired, I don't want to be touched, I don't want to be hugged, I've been hugging Frankie all day. And then you know, with the birth control, it's like, oh yeah, sure, I don't mind a hug or anything. It's like, yeah, we can hold hands. I'm not super annoyed by you being around anymore. And because it was something that was really weighing on me, because I don't say we had problems, but like, it's just, we started our business, we had the baby, we moved back here, we're working full time trying to get the business going and keeping it going. It felt like that was just the stress of everything. But
like,
then
this is normal.
Yeah, but then when things kind of slowed down, it's like, I'm very disinterested, and I know it's a problem with me. So I had to really deep dive into my being and figure out what was wrong with me. And then I'm like, maybe it's the birth control. So I took it out, and I'm like, I enjoy things more now, you know? And that was, I don't know, I just thought that was something worth talking about.
That's totally worth something talking about. Like, I remember, for me, it was like, you know, in The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy's, like, after the big storm and her house crashes down, and she's in black and white, and then she opens the door and it's all color. For me, that's what it was like, too. It was like going from black and white to color. And just feeling like, not feeling any weird pain or not feeling like different, but just feeling like myself and loving it and having everything be full color. And when you mentioned liking music that you didn't like before, like, I felt that. I freaking hate birth control, and I hate that it's always, the majority of the time, it's put on women to be, like, in the driver's seat, I guess. Don't even, like, take the initiative to do that. But, yeah. That's... Dang. No, that's a great topic, though. That's a great thing to talk about, because...
There's all these, like, random chemicals and hormones that they're, like, putting in your body or stopping from being made in your body. And I know when I first got on birth control was when I first started getting migraines.
Oh.
And now, every time when I'm PMSing and all those hormones are ramping up, I get migraines now. And I've never had that in my youth. So I'm like, okay, birth control probably gave me migraines. Now it's something I have to live with. But
oh my god. Have they minimized after you got off birth control?
It's only been a month, so I haven't actually gone back to my normal rhythm of things.
Wow.
But I know I was getting migraines like every other week when I was pregnant. So like, it was probably those pregnancy hormones that gave me migraines. But they weren't frequent enough to, like, qualify for being diagnosed with chronic migraines. Because, like, if you have, like, 6 or something a month.
Oh
so
my
like,
god.
I have, like, 1 a month regularly.
Wow, that's interesting. What effects do you experience with birth control?
I don't know the scientific reason why there isn't a male pill. I don't know if it's a recent thing that a vasectomy is reversible or not, or even if it is or not. So there's probably, I think all people want to be in control of those kinds of rhythms and be in control of when they're going to become parents. And I don't know, I can't imagine that there would be a male population that was ardently, well, maybe there are, but there shouldn't be a male population that's ardently against options, expanded options. And so it really isn't in the interest of any male to be against an option for a male pill or something like that. But I'm sure that there's misguided men out there that are ardently against these things, you know, for whatever misguided reason. And that's as nice as I can be about it. But
you don't have to be nice on here.
Yeah. But
you just heard her rant about daylight savings time.
But you know, the other point I was going to make is, you know, that to nerd it up here, is a lot of our indigenous women prior to contact and during contact were powerful knowledge holders, And one of the subsets of knowledge that they were pretty much in charge of, and I can't say that that's specific to every tribe ever, but a lot of our people, a lot of our ancestors, that was women's knowledge, and it's true that knowledge is power. And if we could go back and find a grandma that still understands midwifery and the cycles of the body, she'd probably be totally confirming what you're saying. That, yeah, don't put chemicals in your body because of, it's going to decrease all of these different senses, because even in the Navajo way, they say that there isn't 5 senses, there's more than that. And then they even talk about the talents of the male and the talents of the female and how they complement each other. So what would a female knowledge holder be able to enlighten us, all of us, about when it comes to the female senses that complement all of life? I don't know the answer to that. But I'm not surprised that you're all sharing this and having a stifled feeling when chemicals are stuffed into your body, and kind of shoved down your throat in that way. So I'm not surprised by that, and I wish that I could point you to some elder. That's something that I really like to be able to do. And whenever there's a problem, I can say, you can go talk to so and so, and they'll be able to fill in the blanks. But I don't know who that person would be, but I'm sure that person's out there somewhere.
Like, I've heard some stories about women who were midwives, and they understood the cycles of the body so well that, they understood when you could engage in sexual activity and not get pregnant. You know what I mean? Or the right cycles of the moon and the season and all of that, and have it be like aligned with you. Like, knowing your body so well that you could have some sense of control, knowing when you were ovulating and when you weren't, without taking a test or without injecting chemicals in your body, you know what I mean, to control it. And that's what we do now. We rely on Western medicine to do that. But there are women out there, not just indigenous women, but a lot of hippies, do this.
They're called witches.
Y'all, let's be real here. They're crystal holding witches. I'm just kidding. Crystal holding sage burning witches. I'm just kidding.
They dance in the moonlight and
yeah, and they understand their cycles, and it's good. And I'm a big advocate of that. I try to track my cycle, and I talk to my girls about the importance of knowing all of that. But I'm also an advocate for birth control only because I want myself and other women to have a choice as to when they become parents. And just because I know what a great responsibility it is, you know what I mean? And I don't want them ever to be in a position where they become a parent too soon when they're not ready. Either psychologically, mentally, emotionally, or financially, which is like the big thing, because I'm always like, if you get in it too soon, who's going to have that responsibility? It's me. So can we talk about this?
No, I'm not saying like birth control is bad and don't ever use it or anything. I'm just like, saying my experience with it, because before birth control, I was really in tune with my own body. I knew how it acted, and then there was afterwards, it felt like, I had the baby, and then I was whisked away to this one. They shoved birth control on me, and then I was whisked away to my life, and it's like I never felt I was back on my tracks, on my train tracks or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about the body is it can bounce back and it can recalibrate. That's the cool thing about our bodies. And chemicals, they don't stay in your body forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll cycle out. So if you decide to not go back on birth control, you'll definitely get back in those rhythms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, there's different types. There's a bazillion types of birth control for women.
And for men, I mean, they don't have a male pill, but vasectomies are reversible. But they're also, I don't know, I don't understand the male body as much as I probably should, but I worry about what happens when, like, a man can't, ejaculate. Like, does that cause problems? You know what I mean? Because it's a whole chemical thing. It's like a full body experience, and it just makes me like we're listening to this Case File podcast, and this guy was just like, he was impotent, and it. I'm not saying this is the reason why he did what he did, but it definitely contributed to the rage, and he wrote about this wrath that came from this frustration, and he ended up, releasing all that tension in very violent ways. And I'm not at all saying that, oh, this is the reason why we shouldn't have men take responsibility for their own, but it's just, I also worry about that. Like, I wouldn't want to impose that, just like my husband would never impose on me the kind of birth control I'm going to use, or say, I think you should do this with your body. I would never do that to him either. Like, I think you should do this, get a surgical procedure for my convenience. You know what I mean? I just don't think people should do that to each other. So, it's like really about...
It's definitely a personal choice that you have to make for yourself. And I just think, like, talking about, like, some of the side effects that goes, like, that aren't listed through at the end of a commercial really fast.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And just understand what's best for you. And for me, I just wasn't happy, but it wasn't sad. I was just meh when I was on birth control, and I didn't like feeling that way. And I know it was driving a wedge between me and my husband for a little bit. And we both knew something was wrong, but we didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're like, there's something wrong here. We both want to fix it, but we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
But I guess, talking about it and talking it out was a big start. So then I told him what my plan was, to take it out and see how it works. And, like, do I feel better? And, like, almost instantly, like, a week later, I'm like, I feel better.
It's immediate, huh?
I feel
like that, too.
I don't know. I feel like me again.
I can ride a bike again.
That makes me so happy. I love that. I love hearing that.
Yeah, but it's just something I wanted to talk about, because maybe other people are feeling that way. And stuff. I'm not saying birth control is bad. Not saying that at all.
Yeah. I'm
just saying there's things that happen.
Yeah. Honestly, if I had the choice, if I had the option of not using any birth control ever, and knowing that I wouldn't get pregnant, that would make me super happy. Because the truth is, I don't want another baby at this point in my life. Like, I feel like I'm too old to be caring for an infant. You know what I mean? Like, I have a toddler, and that's a lot. And I'm just kind of like, I'm done, Like, I don't want to do that again. It's
time for them to move out.
I know. Like, can you guys, like, go to college?
You're 4 years old now. Come on.
I know.
Figure it out.
And we have these kids that are, like,
staggered.
Yeah, and it's a long journey, you know what I mean? And having a child, having an infant is such a huge job, and it's so exhausting. And I know that, I took sleep for granted, and then I had my son, and one time I was teasing him saying, because he's 13 now, and I was like, I haven't been rested in 13 years. Because, like, before I had children, I never drank coffee. I didn't need anything to wake up and feel alive. And now I need coffee every single day. You know what I mean? And then you add the responsibilities of work and all the other things that, we do in our daily lives. And it's super exhausting. And I just cannot imagine having another child, especially an infant. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine ever having a nice, restful sleep, ever. Even before Frankie, I have these random spells of insomnia, and that's why I find all my YouTube videos and things and random facts. Because I'm just laying there awake, like, wide awake. And so people are like, oh, get your sleep when you can. I'm like, I've never gotten sleep, so...
You just sleep?
Like, what's that?
Sleep.
She's sleeping.
I, like, lay and hibernate. I don't sleep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, I've never had a consistent good night's sleep.
Wow. Dang, it's amazing what we...
What, you take for granted?
Yeah. I sleep great. Ew. Just awful.
We'll talk about what she's done wrong in life in the next episode.
Oh,
okay?
God.
This is why she can't sleep like a baby.
I'm a robot. I don't need much sleep.
She needs to be recharged.
I just close my eyes for a quick 10 minutes and then I'm up again.
Oh my gosh.
No, but like I've always had like random snippets of insomnia ever since I was like little. I don't know if it's like stress from me being extra worrier or like, you know, a mechanism from bad childhood. Not that I like a really bad childhood. I wasn't abused, but it wasn't a stable home.
Yeah.
In any sense.
I think all of that contributes to it. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I used to stay up really super late, like until 3:30 in the morning. But I used to be able to write and create, you know what I mean, during those hours. And I loved it. And I didn't have children. I didn't have any responsibility. So it was just me in my apartment, and I could do whatever I wanted. And I would read and I would write. And I love those. I love that time, you know what I mean? And now I think back on it fondly because I'm like, oh my God, it would be so nice just to like read a book and have zero distractions. It would be so nice just to write, you know? And like last week I was trying to write. I got a bullet journal because I would see you posting about your bullet journal, and I was like, okay, I got to get one. So I got one, and I was trying to like, you know, do my thing. And the baby came in, and then questions were coming, and I got pissed. I was just like, this sucks, you know? Like, I don't even have time to do this. Like, I need this. You know what I mean? I need this, and I don't have time for it, and it just, like, kind of upset me. And, yeah. So now I went back to block scheduling so I could really be regimented because I'm going after my next big goal. And so I really need to be regimented about my scheduling during the week. But on the weekends, I've given myself the weekends to do things like this, you know, like Navajo tea time and work with other organizations that I enjoy working with.
Metal shows.
Yeah, we went to the Navajo Nation Metal Fest last night. It was awesome.
Well, before you do get into that, if you're going to go into that more, I just remember the time that you were commissioned to do a banner, an art piece, and you told me that you were going to stay up and work on it all night. And I knew that I would be of no help to you because you one day you can show them on your video channel the napkin of the sun that I drew smiling. So my artistic capabilities are limited. And this was a huge banner, you know, and I said, okay, well, I think I made you a cup of coffee, and then I went to sleep, and when I woke up in the morning, you were also waking up too.
I fell asleep at the desk, or at the table, huh?
She fell asleep with her face in coffee. But it happens with age, I think. We get out of our 20s, and then...
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, actually, I went to, like, a therapist to talk about my sleeping not to talk about my sleeping schedule, but I would tell like my mom and my older brother about like the severe anxiety I would have leaving the house to go to work. Like I needed a good 20 minutes of just sitting and preparing myself to open the door and walk outside. They're like, that's not normal, Kelsey. You need to talk to somebody about that. So I was like, okay. Turns out it is super normal.
So you didn't just want a Pepsi. Okay.
Anyways, but I was talking to him about that, and I told him about like my randomness of like insomnia, and he's like, "Are you different when you have your insomnia episodes?" I'm like, "I don't know. No one's awake to tell me if I'm acting different." He's like, "Okay," and I told him like, you know, sometimes, you know, me and the husband, we like chug a couple of energy drinks and like stay up all night playing video games online. This was before the baby, obviously. And he's like, well, doing something like that can definitely mess up your sleep schedule, and it's not easy to bounce back now that you're past 25. I'm like, thank you for reminding me.
It only gets better.
But yeah, so our sleep schedules aren't as bouncy as they used to be.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that you can't just call me out of the blue. You can't even text me out of the blue because I usually need about 48 hours to deal with the fact that Kelsey's going to call me, for example. It's like, oh, great, she's going to call me. Okay, I can deal with this. And then 2 days later, if you were to call me, I might pick up. But if you were to call me out of the blue, no. You're not gonna get me. I've never hid that from anybody. That's from colleagues. That's from. You're the only person that Adrian's the only person that can call me and get me on the phone, but nobody else on the planet. Through me. And they go through her.
If they need to get a hold of him, they'll come to me.
You've heard it here first. You know, go through Adrian to get to.
Luckily, nobody wants to get to me. One of my favorite lines is that if anybody needs me, I'll be surprised.
I know it kind of weighs on Gurdon too, because like I hate surprises, I hate last minute planning, and then sometimes like let's just do something, and I'm like, no. Next week, you want to do something next week?
I know, and I'm like super spontaneous, so I know I kind of drive you nuts, and I know sometimes I have the potential to stress you out. I'm sorry, but I'm just like, let's do this right now. Let's get the, you know, and it's like.
I can't.
Yeah,
it's like, excuse me, how much is it gonna cost? Where are we gonna go? Where are the bathroom stops? Where's the gas stop? It's like,
yeah, like she's an expert planner and stuff too. Like when it comes to like.
Well, we determined you are an expert planner too, but that's a different story.
Yeah, but like I'm surprised I got you on with this right now because. I didn't. It was just spur of the moment.
Well, we've been we talk a lot, and we were talking about this on the ride over.
We were, yeah.
So I did my planning.
Yeah.
Your mental preparation.
If you would have come at me with, we're going to talk about sundials, and I'm like I'm just going to sit over here.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to say, but.
Mm-hmm. I remember when you said that you felt anxiety for the first time.
Oh yeah.
I was secretly happy
during the pandemic
because I was like. See?
It took a pandemic for me to feel anxiety, to have an anxiety attack for the first time. And it was the first time I could actually have empathy for Kelsey and my husband. It's so bad. But I never had anxiety attacks before, ever.
Lucky you.
I know. Right. And some people, they live with that. And I couldn't identify, though, because I'm just like, get it together, come on. And you can't say that to someone who's having an anxiety attack. I learned. I seriously thought I was going to, like, die. Like, I was freaking out. I thought I had gotten sick. And I could just see my whole life flashing before my eyes. And all I could do was just stop and pray. And I was like, I don't want to die. I'm not ready to go. I still have so much more to offer the world. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't, and I was freaking out. And my husband, he just held my hand, and he was like, you know what, you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And he just walked me through it. You're going to be okay. And all that fear I was feeling, because what it was doing is it was actually making me feel like I was feeling symptoms, like COVID symptoms. Like, I'm getting a fever. I can't breathe. You know what I mean? And he walked me, he, like, just kind of held my hand and walked me through it. And guess what? I didn't have COVID. I wasn't dying. But it felt like it. And so that changed everything. Mm-hmm. And so I think I suddenly had the ability then to be like, okay, I can empathize with other people, and I know what not to say or do during this time. I can be more patient. Mm-hmm. You know, I can be a better person by being more patient and just being kind. And I felt, yeah. Yeah,
and this is just like, you know, you can't like, oh, well, just stop feeling that way. It's like. Yeah. Okay. Like your mind gets stuck on a loop on like all the bad things going on and everything. And it's like it doesn't stop. You just have to wait.
So, and there's a country artist named Jason Isbell, Isbell. So it sounds like it's supposed to be pronounced Isbell, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But he has a song called Anxiety. And it really hit home for me because he's talking about, you know, he's home, he's in bed, his wife is laying next to him, his child is laying next to him, it's warm, he's got money in the bank, he's got a house that isn't, you know, leaking, and he's wide awake and he can't sleep. And I played that for you, and that was the first time that I remember you having an understanding, like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, it made me cry. It made me tear up because I was like, damn, that's what it's like. Like, that's fucked up, you know? Like, people live like that? You know, just being so, like, someone who's just so ignorant and, you know, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm fortunate not to. But it's like, there's this ignorance with it. Therefore, you behave in a way and you have expectations for people that you have no right to have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I learned about myself, and I was like, dang, I'm an a-hole.
She said it.
Like, she knows, other people know.
But it's like with all the like mental health things, it's hard to convey to people what you can't really explain to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's a feeling, and that's hard to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
Like all different types of mental health issues.
Yeah. So like anxiety, I couldn't identify with it until I actually had an anxiety attack. But there are other things that I know very well. You know what I mean? Like, I know depression very well. I know what that feels like. I've been through it. And when people tell me that they have depression, I know how serious that is. And so I take a lot of care with these people. You know what I mean? Like, I carry them the way I knew that I needed to be carried during those times. And luckily, I don't dip into that very often anymore, because I've done like a lot of freaking work just to kind of stay far away from it. But it really did take changing my whole life, my whole environment, and to pull myself far away from that. Because where I was before, it was like I couldn't escape it or get out of it, and I just lived with it. And it was like being in survival mode all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so when people tell me they feel like that, or they're feeling depressed, I'm like, okay, I gotta take this really seriously. I gotta take care of these people. I need to be careful what I say around them. And I just gotta sometimes, like, just shut up. You know what I mean? And just be, you know, find a way to just, there's a special way that you interact with people that are going through those sorts of things. You know what I mean? Like, there's a different way you interact with people who are mothers, you know? There's, like, this understanding. Or, like, the way, like, war veterans talk to one another and interact. You know what I mean? It's this shared camaraderie that you have, and you understand it. And if you've never been a part of that, then you don't know how to interact with these people. You know what I mean? Like, the easiest thing that I always say is, like, I've never been a war veteran, therefore, I don't know how to deal with that. You know what I mean? And how could I have empathy? You try to be sympathetic, but I feel like if you don't really know what you're talking about or going through, the likelihood of you saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing is greater. But yeah.
I mean, that's a symptom of this whole, the United States right now, is that nobody's bothering to be empathetic about anything. You know, you're a woman, I don't care. I don't have to understand. You know, that seems to be the attitude of 50% of the people right now.
Or you're a man, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need no man.
And that's step one of disaster.
Yeah.
So just having empathy is probably the best thing that a person can do,
Or
even if they don't get it.
Problem.
There's some problems that are a you problem. Well, this has been Navajo Tea Time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on these topics. Hagonet!